Good morning, traders. It's Mark here from the Day Trading Room. The time is 10 to 12 on Wednesday, the 20th of October, 10 to 12 London time. To run through the trades from yesterday, as it was a bit more of an interesting day yesterday. Last Monday and Friday, pretty standard days, standard setups. But yesterday was more interesting. We've had a bit of a gap down, and we had some decent volatility, some decent market action. So let's run through what we got up to. At the open, I've got two hypotheses. The first is a range fill, being a move back to yesterday's low if we're opening below yesterday's low. Or I'm looking for a flush in the direction of the gap, and a flush to me normally indicates minus 1,000 on the ticks with a volume spike. So those are my two hypotheses, and that's pretty much the same most days, depending on the distance of the gap. And I might change the range fill to a gap fill, obviously depending on the location of the open. So I don't have much information. All I've got is where we are relative to yesterday's range and where we are relative to the overnight trade. So really I'm trying to gather information in the first few minutes of the open. I'm looking at the tape, I'm seeing where the orders are, I'm seeing the size of the orders, I'm seeing the speed of the tape, and I'm having a look around at other markets to see whether this is a broad sell-off or whether it's, I'm getting mixed signals. So at the open I noticed a lot of buying coming in just under the overnight low at 10.961, which was interesting really, because that's around the 11,000 level on the Dow cash. We probed lower and tagged that 11,000 level, and then we pushed back up and held again for another minute or so in this area of support. So I've got two hypotheses. I'm looking for a flush in the direction of the gap, or I'm looking for a range fill. And so what I'm looking for is a trigger that sets off one or the other trade, but I'm also looking to be able to quantify my risk to take the least risk possible. After we've probed this low here and hit the 11,000 Dow cash level, which is just a psychological whole number, which I like to work off the Dow cash levels. We probed that, and we then started to push higher. So I've got a really good, decent risk there. I can take my trade and I can look for I can have my stop under that last low there. I can take my trade around here. I can have my target up there, and I can try and see if one of my trade hypotheses plays out. So that's what my first trade was of the day. Took the long there. I stopped just under that low. If it was starting to revisit there, then obviously I was wrong, and the tape buyer wasn't as aggressive as I thought. Fortunately, we got a push up, 3 good candles, scaling out as we were pushing up. That was my final target. We were looking for that. We didn't get it. It then started to roll back over, and as long as it was still holding here, this is about 50% of this move, and it's the VWAP, and it's just between that open and the overnight low. I was still going to hold on my last little batch for my target. Really, you wouldn't want to see it come back this far. You don't want to see a few candles before it pushed on, but in the overall scheme of things, with the gap and the situation of the open, that's an acceptable point, and I draw a line in there, and then I'm looking for it to blow up and hit there. We didn't actually get that. What we got is this push up that failed and came in pretty quickly with a reasonable volume, and the tick started then to break down, especially as we got to here. So that was my exit there on the last batch. Was just as we broke that little low there. So that was a good little trade. Most of it obviously as I was scaling off into that strength. But now I'm starting to gather information. If I clear the drawing out, I'm starting to gather information now. The information I've got is that the market can't even make it to yesterday's low, even with this short-term strength. The ticks never made it above 200. This information, it's had a chance, it's pulled back, it's had a second go, and it's just penetrated through that midpoint, And here now to me is opening up my second hypothesis. My first one, I've made some money on. It hasn't played out fully, but that's why I scale. It was a good trade, very good profitable trade. Now I'm looking at my second hypothesis, and that is to look for a flush to the downside. I've got more evidence now that that's going to work. Ticks are low. We failed to push back up. All the signs are pointing now to a lower. So I'm watching. I see this breakdown here. I see a little pause back. It's still 50-50. But when I see this candle here, and especially as we start to break through here, the ticks only pull back very slightly. Volume starts picking up. There's my short. I'm in on my short, and I'm looking to add to the short aggressively as we break lower, because I know there's a lot of people. If you think about the mindset of people who are caught in the gap from the day before, if they're long, and it opens down a push up, they're okay, they're holding, they're thinking, yeah, great, okay, I'm losing position, but yeah, it's coming back my way, I can hold on here, but if it goes below the low, I'm out. So I know that there's a lot of people who are just going to liquidate their longs as we break that low. So I'm taking a little short a little bit earlier, just to try and get a head start on that, a little 10 tick head start or 8 tick head start as we break through. And even on this little pullback here, as we break through, pause, maybe pull back a touch, then I'm going to get extra aggressive with it and start adding to the position. And when it starts to roll over again, I know this is only a minute on the chart, but a minute's a long time if you're in a position. You've just got to be patient for your hypothesis. If everything is working in your favour, you've got a good low tick there as we've broken the low, hasn't pushed back. You've got the volume starting to peak here again. So wait for the hypothesis to work. What's the hypothesis? It's a flush, and I'm looking for my minus 1,000 ticks. I'm looking for my volume spike, and that's what I'm looking for to get out. And so you hold your position, you wait, you're watching your tape, and then there's your exit right there as we tick that low flush. I think I ended up getting out at 26 or 27. You can never get, very rare to get the low tick, but if I get it within 5 ticks of the low, then I call that a result. So that's a great little trade, worked very quickly for me, and it's a case of just reading what the information the market's giving you at the time and playing off that. So after those two, I decided just to sit back and let's see now. My hypothesis, one of them's played out. I'm now looking for more trade ideas. And we started to push through. It then pushed back up and did fill that range. Rolled around a bit, was a bit undecided of where it was going. Didn't get involved in any of this sort of stuff. This was a bit of a shame I missed this breakdown, because we broke down, pulled back. I mean, these ticks really gave the game away. The fact that these were just low, big sell algorithms hitting the market. This little pullback here, perfect place to go short. Didn't get involved in that, but that's the sort of trade that I do like to trade. What I did play was this nice little setup here. This is another one that you don't get very often, but it works well on these trend down days. You've got to push to low, so you know that there's weakness in the market. It's been weak all day, and it's hardly even pushed back up into yesterday's range. So you get this little double bottom here, a little small counter trend rally, but really all you got to look at is the time it takes to move from there to there in relation to the time it took to go from there to there. When I'm comparing these things, I can see very clearly that the sellers are still in control. The buyers, okay, they may be backing off a bit, but the buyers aren't exactly stepping up to the plate. If you can see the strength of that selling compared to the weakness of that buying. And so what I'm looking for is a little pop up to sell into. So how do I time that? Well, this one here, I mean, the ticks really were also confirming, and they weren't going above the 400 level. We didn't have any really high tick readings, so to me the trade is still on. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for this sort of action here, but I want to wait a little bit until I get a little bit of confirmation, because the way the market has been recently, it's been just pulling back and pulling back and pulling back. In bear markets, you'll get this situation where you're down a few hundred. You'll get this counter trend rally, and then you'll get another push to lows, panic lows into the close. So that was really what I was playing for, but I was a little bit cautious. Um, this was the candle that got it, that did it for me. Good long candle, good low ticks, minus 1,000 ticks, decent volume. There's your pullback. You just draw your little line there, and there's your entry. So there's my short entry. Wait, I'm just holding that short now, and I'm waiting to exit. So I'm scaling out as I'm coming down. 10 ticks, 20 ticks, and I took my last off at 30 ticks. And really, there was a bit of luck to that last, because I normally would trail a last one. Um, I normally would trail a last one looking for a push into the close, but it's a little bit early. It was 8:30, so still 30 minutes to go. The ticks was starting to show a bit of divergence, and so I just thought to myself, oh, you know what, I'll just take my 30 ticks and leave it. So a little bit of luck really that I caught it on that low print, on that low sort of segment, should I say, not the low print, because we did counter trend and decided to push back up in the last half an hour. But yeah, good section of trades for me. Yeah, lots of good action. Midday again, very dry, so keep away from that. But there's good action in the open, starting to become good action at the close now. Which is good. It's good to have that back. We've had a lot of times where we've just been able to trade on the open, and then the close has been relatively boring. But yeah, we're getting a bit of two-sided action now, which is good. So yeah, this little shake-off has given us some more levels to work off. Obviously, look at the big players that are reporting before the market opens, in the week and after the market close. See how they're reacting. Obviously Apple has been a big one to watch yesterday. So keep an eye on the big guns. This is one of the times when I will start to look at individual stocks for a bit of guidance for the general market, because that's what the bigger players are looking at. So it makes sense to look at what they're looking at. So good trading, guys, and we're back with another video in the week. Don't forget to look at the blog. Got a post on there at the moment about how to improve as a trader. What do you do when you're consistently profitable and you want to increase your P&L? So that's a two-part blog. First part of that's on the site now, the daytradingroom.com. So have a look. Welcome your comments, welcome your emails, and we'll see you shortly.